All right, so let's talk about. So last time we spoke about solar energy last time,
Hmm.
right? And then the time prior to that, we spoke about hard drives and storage.
Hmm.
So today, Jimmy and I had a discussion on agentic AI, which we thought was very interesting. We don't have a conclusion yet, but this is purely a discussion. And it's something I think we should throw out there that allows everyone to join us in thinking about it. And so I think most people have heard of this term AI agents or agentic AI, where as of today, AI is largely used as a large language model, where it's like ChatGPT, where you ask them a question, they give you an answer, and you ask another follow-up question, they give you another answer, right? It's a interactive process that allows you to either do research, edit a document, or so on and so forth. But as of today, I think most people don't use your AI as an agent. What does that mean, using it as an agent? It simply means that AI will be able to conduct tasks that are more complicated, as if he were, or the AI were a human person. So think of the way I think about it, Jimmy, let me know what you think, is that agentic AI simply means think of you having a personal assistant where you can give this AI a task, not just a question, but a complete task to execute on. That's how I think about it. Jimmy, is this how you would define it?
Yeah, I think that's a very good way of defining what's the difference between AI as just like a chatbot that you're just chatting with versus an agent is
Right.
like as it gets more and more like an agent doing things, right? It's doing things that you asked it to do without you micromanaging every detail necessarily. And it's also going off and doing things where you don't directly see what's going on necessarily. So
Right.
one example of that would be if you're using ChatGPT right now,
Yep.
there's this button at the bottom called a web search that you can enable.
Hmm.
There's another button also called deep research. They're both pretty interesting things you can try if you haven't tried them already. But if you turn them on, instead of the ChatGPT just answering the question based on, what it already knows inside of its neural network, it will go and search the internet for you and then read a bunch of web pages and then come back and then try to give you an answer. So that's already a little bit like an agent. It's kind of doing maybe what you would do if you didn't have ChatGPT instead, which is doing a bunch of Google searches. So I think we're going to see more and more of that in the future.
Right. So I think, and can you categorize or would you define essentially Tesla's autopilot, right? Almost as an agent, if you are able to just tell it what your end result, what you want as your end result, right? So if I'm just telling it to go from A, where I am right now, to an address, right? So whatever
Right.
happens in between, I actually have no control over. Well, we still do, but essentially, down the road, you can literally just fall asleep and then you wake up and you're
Right.
there. So everything in between actually happens
Right.
without your supervision.
Right.
And
Right. And
that's
in
how,
fact, they have these legal definitions of levels of autonomy for self-driving.
right,
Level five is like your car does everything, right? You can fall
right,
asleep, you can be on your cell phone. We're not at level five yet,
right.
at least most of the time. But level two is like you're the one who's driving, and the car is just helping you out a little bit.
Right. So with that, with agentic AI, I think I think we all agree that agentic AI will be here and will be here very soon, right? In terms of the technical side, what do you think from the technical literatures that you've been following? How quickly would this happen? Where
Uh,
most of us will be using ChatGPT, I don't know if it's 7 or 8 from 5, where we'll be asking it to do something, where it's like, oh, book the flight for me. How
right.
quickly do you envision that to happen?
So a lot of this is already coming down the product pipeline, it seems like. So for example, if you're using Gmail, I just noticed the feature where it asks you to type what you want the email to say, and then it gives you a draft, right? And then you hit insert. So it's already in your Gmail.
Right.
If you use Claude, so Claude actually has a feature where it can connect to your Gmail
Hmm.
and it can also connect to your iMessage. So if you turn those features on, you can use Claude's a lot like ChatGPT, but you can tell it, hey, look at my emails, read my inbox for today, tell me what's important, and then draft some responses. It can go off and read your email and then do those things for you. So it's almost like you have a personal assistant. So a lot of these features are being built. A lot of them have some rough edges, but you're going to see, I think, more polish coming down the pipe and a lot more of this flavor of AI as your personal assistant rather than AI as a chatbot.
Right. So just a more practical question. Who will be offering those in your mind? Meaning that is it still going to be OpenAI and Google and these guys, or is it going to be a startup like a new app that comes out of nowhere and everybody starts using it to book your flights, for example?
That's a very interesting question. We're seeing a lot of companies that have technical chops trying to build AI offerings into all of their products. So like, I believe Excel has an
Right.
AI box now. So if
Yep.
you're using like current Excel, you can tell like me a table or look at my spreadsheet and give me an answer of some sort. So you're getting this flavor of everybody's trying to put AI everywhere.
Right.
It's not clear how it's going to shake out, right? What people are actually going to use. I think the companies themselves probably aren't sure.
Right.
And it's almost like a competition. Every company will want you to use their AI
Sure.
and not their competitor's AI.
Yep.
And you're going to maybe even see some sort of pattern where, say, you're using ChatGPT. ChatGPT would probably prefer to monopolize the interaction with you
Yep.
so that ChatGPT is your one-stop personal assistant.
Right.
So you tell ChatGPT, hey, I want to do X. And
Hmm.
then ChatGPT can open your spreadsheets, read your emails. If you're very privacy focused, maybe this sounds terrible to you. But if
Yep.
you're not, maybe this sounds wonderful. Like it can look across your entire personal context, right? It can be like, hey, you're planning a vacation. I can read your emails and you wrote something, or read your text messages. You wrote something to your spouse about potential destinations.
Yep.
It will go to like Google Flights, start looking up options. It'll go look at your Google Photos and look at your accommodations from your last vacation and figure out what kind of accommodations you like what kind of hotels you prefer.
Right.
It can make suggestions. It can do all these things, right? ChatGPT would prefer the world where they're the ones in the loop.
Yep.
And maybe you're going to see competition from other companies where they don't want that to
But
happen.
technically, do you think ChatGPT would do as good of a job as, say, a startup that focuses on booking flights?
That's a really good question. I don't know if we know how it's going to shake out because it's not
Only,
just a
but just
technical
on the AI
question.
side, on the technical calculation side.
So obviously at some point
Yep.
you're gonna have some code, like some software, right? Especially like flight search.
Yep.
It's technically complicated. There's like very specialized software for dealing with flights
Hmm.
because there's like some sort of industry standard for
Right.
how the airlines communicate as to what flights are available, how
Right.
do you do a booking, what's the
Yeah.
price,
Pricing.
there's all this convention. So there's like a company called ITA that Google
Yep.
bought a long time ago that did this.
Yep.
When they bought ITA, they had a deal that said ITA's software is still available to competitors. So if you're doing like Kayak, for example, Kayak can use ITA software, even though Kayak and Google Flights are competing. So there's all these deals in the back. But the question of, well, can ChatGPT use Google Flights? That's an interesting question because Google would prefer that
Not.
you don't do it. Yeah, you don't
Right.
do it through ChatGPT. Google
Right.
would prefer that you use Google's AI, right?
Right.
So I think this will naturally actually end up segueing into a conversation maybe about crypto, is that companies would prefer to know that you, Ben Lin, are talking to them, not your AI, right? Not your
Yep.
AI assistant, but they're dealing with you, the human, directly.
Yep.
And a lot of AI companies are going to want to deal with the human directly and cut out any AI middleman. So there will be this question of at the technical level, how do these AI agents, I'm an AI agent versus no,
Right.
I'm dealing with an actual human. This is
Yep.
going to,
Well, this is a very important point, right, that I want to emphasize before we go on to the next topic, which is when you have AI agents that are working for you, right? Say I have an AI agent that goes out there and say, "Hey, try to generate $200 of savings for me from booking this flight." And then my AI agent goes all around and does their thinking. It will become a world where everybody, right? Every individual and every corporate has an AI agent there too. So I think one of the very interesting things that you mentioned is does my AI agent interact with Jimmy's AI agent, interact with Delta's AI agent, right? It will become a world where where AI agents interact with each other quickly. And it's like lightning speed, literally, right? Zero point 0.1 second. And then their discussion or negotiation is done and the result comes back. But what you're saying is that when that happens, the company's AI agent might want to come back to you and ask you directly through your
right,
AI agent,
right,
sort of clear approvals
right,
of various details.
right.
But then you can also set those approvals. Will AI agent pretend that it's your approval? Because if I were lazy, I would just be like, that's how I do with my personal assistant now, right? Be like, sign the paper for me, right?
Right,
I do that all the time, right?
right. There's currently it's only people that can like, pay attention to things, right? So like, if I'm writing you an email, you can be pretty sure that I was involved in writing that email, right? So like, every time you get an email from me, you're like, oh, there's an actual person who
Right.
cared about this topic enough to sit down at a computer and spend 5 minutes, right?
Hmm.
But in the future, that might not be the case. In the future, it could be I told ChatGPT to write 1,000, my salesperson, I told my ChatGPT to write 1,000 emails personalized
Yep.
for all these companies in the data, all these people in the database,
Yep.
and send out cold email blasts.
Yep.
It could be totally personalized to that individual,
Yep.
but it didn't come from me.
Yep.
So there's going to be an economy in the future where human attention is very scarce and very precious. And you'll have AI agents that are much more numerous that can pay attention to things. And then there'll be an interesting, maybe competition or negotiation over where's human approval coming from. Did a human actually look at this, or is it just an AI?
That's very interesting. So if we try to keep this our video to a certain length, let's jump straight to what conclusions that we may be able to draw or may be able to hypothesize in order to make money, right? Where is the value going to be? Well, what we just discussed, this agentic AI, it's 100% certain that it will be here. Then the question is, with that knowledge, right? With that understanding or consensus, what can we do today that best manifests our bets, right? What bets can we make that best align with this consensus? So, for example, is agentic AI going to be consuming huge amounts of energy and compute power that is 1 to 2 orders of magnitude greater than what people are expecting today, right? I think
Yes. Yeah.
technically would it be because it seems to me because it'll be so much greater than what if you think ChatGPT is consuming a lot of power today just by answering
Mhm.
questions, Google search queries, then
Mhm.
imagine like I don't know 1%, 0.5% of your mind share, right? Now
Right.
if they can take over like 30% of mind share, what power is that consume?
So one that might be worth mentioning. I'm not
Yep,
sure. Probably some of your audience are tech adjacent. I'm a engineer by training. So one thing that's happened this year, only in the last maybe 6 months, is that um, software engineers are starting to use agentic AI to do software engineering to write their code for them. And that's Anthropic that's currently ahead in that race. Although all of the AI companies, Anthropic, uh, OpenAI, they're all competing products. But you've seen a very, very revenue ramp where companies are actually paying Anthropic for the AI tools to build software. And it's actually agentic in the sense that the AI is actually sitting at your computer, interacting with like the code on your computer. So it can like open up a file, start writing some code, close the file, run the code, see what the code did, figure out did it do what I wanted it to do? Did it do what the human wanted it to do? If yes, then tell the human success. If not, uh, edit the file again, make some changes. So it's agentic in the sense that it's kind of doing what like an engineer
right.
or an intern would do.
Yep.
And that's ramping up very fast. And actually it's, taking more compute, more data usage. So we'll see, I think, more of that in different kinds of use cases. It just happens that software engineering was like that where those are today, they're starting to become useful.
Yep.
You'll see more of that in as well.
Right. Yeah, so that's a very good point because I actually started worry a little bit last couple of weeks about all these high flying hyper scalar stocks because I feel that ChatGPT may be running up to a plateau in terms of user growth, right?
Mhm.
Because up to what like 800 million active or monthly active, which is
Mhm.
already like internet users
Mhm.
and LLM like a chatbot only that right
Right, right.
was that whenever ChatGPT to play growth then
Mhm.
all the other 1.3 trillion dollars promises by ChatGPT is going to not happen
Right.
just disappear and therefore again like we've on and talked about but you
Yeah.
don't think that's going to be an issue
Well,
because of agentic AI. I mean, in my market,
right,
where stock market overreact,
right,
at least.
right. Yeah, this could largely growing, right? It's
Yeah.
like, well, there's only 7 billion people in the world.
Right.
So there's like, cash you can grow DAU.
Yeah.
What you see in the software engineering usage for AI is that you can actually charge quite a lot
Yep.
and get people to use quite a lot in the sense that, if you're building something valuable and you're using like AI tools, you can easily get to justifying like spending $200 a month, the
Oh yeah,
top
for
tier
sure.
subscription, right? It's like 10x, right? It's like you're going from $200 a month. And it's probably possible, um, pretty like 10x more than that. So um, it's unclear how many are like software engineering. Software engineering is interesting because if you can build profitably, why not build more software, right? There's not a limit on how much software you can build. If you're like maybe like a lawyer or something, then you're maybe a little bit more demand constrained, right? How many clients do you have coming in seeking your services? It's not clear whether you can do 10 times as many cases, right? Or take 10 times as much work. So um, maybe we're going to see sort of an intensification of AI usage differ from field to field.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's one thing. Another thing we talked about how potentially we could profit from this agentic AI sort of eventuality, crypto, right? So
Mhm,
smart
mhm,
and potentially cybersecurity. So
mhm,
I think we might need to have a separate talk about cybersecurity because I think that's a huge
mhm,
topic that we should start
mhm.
investigating. But in terms of well, in terms of crypto, anything you want to say today that you want to throw out there?
Um, yeah, I have this nagging suspicion that crypto is actually like, especially smart contracts, it's suited for the digital agents of the future
Yep.
rather than, humans today. Um, I'd love to deep dive on this with you in a future session because there's a lot of topics that you could talk about there. But one reason, crypto might be AI agents of the future is just because a lot of the that crypto is trying to provide already work pretty well in the real world for real humans, right? It's like if I want to send money, I can send you a wire, right?
Right.
I don't need to send you Bitcoin. If I want to do like contractual thing with you, we can draft a contract and we can sign it. And we can use like normal lawyers and the legal. We don't need to do a smart contract on the blockchain, right? But we can see that AI agents today can already write code. So if they can write code, they can actually write a smart contract and review a smart contract, unlike most people. And another thing is that AI agents don't actually have recourse to the legal system. Like they're not humans. The system only respects the rights of humans right now. They don't view AI agents as real
That's very
things.
interesting. That's why you
Yeah,
have to have smart contracts because there's nobody to sue.
exactly. You can't sue another AI agent, and AI agents themselves, if they're doing some have recourse,
Right.
and they don't have
So
protection.
Nathan, that's gone. That's gone for if I send you a wire, you can potentially sue me, right? Or vice
Right,
versa. Yeah. I can
right,
always sue
r-
you to try to get the money back.
right, right. So
And,
those
and
are
I think the payment
yeah,
amounts will be so small that it's not worth to sue, right?
right.
Almost.
Right, right. You can imagine where you tell look at your do some research, recommend some changes to portfolio,
Yep.
and it goes and does some research. Instead of doing that, it also makes a request to like a specialized, equity analyst agent crypto ecosystem, right?
Yep.
How does it know that that agent's good? How does it pay that agent? How does it send information and get back a response? These are all like services that need to in order for this future to make sense.
Right.
And that's
So so
yeah,
assuming we all see that, which crypto coin should we buy?
that's a $1,000 question.
Right.
But it'd be interesting to dive on that.
Sounds good. All right. Well, let's stop the recording right here and then we'll come back another day. Thank you, Jimmy.
Sounds good. Thanks, man.